Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Friday, December 22nd. If you are joining me for the very first time, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they ultimately end up turning out. Do apologize, yesterday was kind of a mess. For those of you that don't know, I did start another job where I've been working overnights last couple of nights, and I slept in a little bit later than I probably would have liked to, so it was a little bit behind on some of those injuries and everything else like that. So do apologize for that. Hopefully you guys had a pretty good night overall with some of that information as well as that updated core, which I really did scramble on a couple pieces for, so I do apologize for that for yesterday. But once we finish up with that recap, we'll get moved over to the injuries and play for today's slate overall. It's only a 6-game main slate for a Friday, which is something you don't see too often. Actually, yesterday I was wrong a little bit. I think I called it a 6-game main slate. It was 6 games on DraftKings, was 7 on FanDuel, and there was 8 games in total overall yesterday. So it was a pretty interesting slate just altogether. But once we get done talking through all the injuries, we'll get over to both DraftKings and FanDuel and talk about my core picks for today's slate overall, which is going to be one player at each position: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. So on the DraftKings side, we had Craig Porter Jr. once again, $4,700. Looking for at least 24 out of him, got to 28.75, so he was a good hit once again. And then we had shooting guard, we went with Colin Sexton, $7,700, looking for at least 39 out of him, got to 43, so he was a hit as well. At small forward, we went with Karis LeVert, who was kind of the biggest disappointment for us yesterday, $6,500. Looking for at least 33 out of him, got to 17, so he was a mess. Only played 23 minutes in this game, 3 for 9 shooting from the field, and the game did ultimately end up in a blowout. And then at power forward was extremely yucky yesterday. So we went with Victor Wembanyama's $9,000, looking for at least 45 out of him, got to 29.75. So he ultimately ended up being a mess. 22 minutes in this game was a pretty big blowout, so that was just kind of unfortunate there. So at center, we ultimately ended up switching over to Brook Lopez, $6,100. Looking for 31 out of him, got to 30.75, so did ultimately give him a push yesterday. You know, if you want to call the 5X hit there, you could definitely do that as well. So a little bit hit or miss today on DraftKings overall. Was a little bit tougher to cash, but if you had some other decent plays alongside this core 5, had a small chance of cashing yesterday. And then on the FanDuel side, we had Craig Porter Jr., $4,600. Looking for at least 23 out of him, got to 28.1, so he was a really good hit. And then at shooting guard, we had Jaden Ivey, $5,100, looking for 26.7, got to 50.5, so he was a really good hit on yesterday's slate, almost 10x at that. And then once again, we had Karis LeVert at that small forward position, $6,600, got to 17 points. Once again, it was a miss. And then at power forward, we went Rui Hachimura once LeBron James was ruled out, $4,700, so we were looking for 23, 24 out of him. Got to 23.8, so did give him a hit on yesterday's slate. And then last but not least at center, we had Nikolai Vucevic, $8,600, was looking for 43 out of him, only got 27.5. He was a miss, but he only played 27 minutes in that game, and it was a blowout overall. So yesterday kind of hit or miss across the board. FanDuel probably a little bit easier to cash with that Jaden Ivey play in there, but still needed some other decent plays alongside the core as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to RotoWire and talk about those injuries and play for tonight's slate overall. So once again, it is a 6-game main slate, and we're going to start off with the one lone 7 o'clock game today. So we have the Toronto Raptors, who are without Christian Koloko, which has pretty much been the story for them all season, so no changes here. Philadelphia 76ers without Nick Batum once again. We did see Kelly Oubre start in his place last time out, although Robert Covington did miss that game as well. Robert Covington is listed as probable to play tonight. He has been battling an illness. And then we have DeAnthony Melton listed as questionable. I believe it's a thigh injury that he's dealing with. So we'll see whether or not he ultimately ends up playing tonight or not. Could make a big change on that starting 5 overall for this team. May or may not open up some value at that point in time as well. Then we move over to the Denver Nuggets. Kankar's out once again. Aaron Gordon listed is probable to play due to his heel injury, so no changes for them overall. Then on the Brooklyn Nets side, we have Ben Simmons, Lonnie Walker both out once again. Dennis Smith Jr. is listed as probable to play tonight, so he will be re-entering that rotation. We'll see how many minutes he gets, but not a guy that we really want to play on this slate overall. Then we get over to the Dallas Mavericks, probably the biggest chalk spot overall today. So these guys are all out for this Mavericks team today. Luka Doncic, Dante Exum, Josh Green, Kyrie Irving, Maxi Kleber, and Derek Lively. That opens up a ton of value. So we're probably going to see Jaden Hardy in the starting lineup. Seth Curry is also listed as questionable due to a back injury, back spasm. So we'll see whether or not he plays tonight or not. But if he doesn't, Jaden Hardy looks excellent because he's really the only point guard they have left on the team. And using the word point guard is probably a little loose for him as well, since he's more of a combo guard. Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to look really interesting. Derrick Jones Jr. is going to look a little bit interesting as well. And you can even get to some Grant Williams in this spot as well. So going to be a lot of value on this Dallas Mavericks team overall. And then on the Houston Rockets side, they are without Victor Oladipo, and then Tari Eason listed as questionable due to his leg injury that he did miss their most recent game in. Then we move down to the Atlanta Hawks. Buffkin, Griffin, Gaye, and Johnson all out once again, so no real changes to be had there. Miami Heat are just without Jimmy Butler once again, so probably a similar starting lineup to what we saw the last time out. And then for the Washington Wizards, they are the lone team on the back-to-back, so we'll get their injury report a little bit later this afternoon, but don't expect any major changes from what we saw yesterday. And then on the Golden State Warriors side, Draymond Green and Gary Payton II are both out once again. And then Podziemski is listed as questionable to play tonight. I believe it's a back injury he's dealing with, so not anybody that we want to get to. But if he's out, then we're going to see probably Andrew Wiggins re-enter that starting lineup. Could be Moses Moody, but both those guys are going to look a little bit better just in general. Then we move down to the Phoenix Suns. Bradley Beal, Damon Lee, and Joseph Nurkic are all out tonight. Nurkic is going to be the newest one. Probably see Drew Eubanks in that starting lineup, although it does have Metu listed here, but both guys are going to be pretty interesting. And then last but not least for the Suns, Justin Koji is listed as questionable to play for tonight's game. He had been dealing with a hip injury, so we'll see whether or not he's good to go tonight or not, but not anybody that we really want to play for DFS purposes. And then for the Sacramento Kings, we got Alex Len out once again. Malik Monk listed as questionable due to a foot injury, and then JaVale McGee listed as questionable due to a wrist injury. So nothing too crazy here. Obviously, if Malik Monk misses, opens up more minutes for Kevin Huerter and just kind of solidifies everybody else's minutes as well at the same time. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for today's slate. As always, I will be listing all the injury updates down in the comments throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. We're going to start off at the point guard position with Jaden Hardy here at $4,300, only looking for 22 points down. There's not many guys left that can play his position tonight for this team. If Seth Curry's out, he's going to look even better. Probably going to play like 38 plus minutes in that situation. So going to get to a lot of Jaden Hardy tonight. He's pretty much just a free square. Currently have him projected for 28 fantasy points, but definitely has a ton of upside for more. And then at shooting guard, we're going to go with Tim Hardaway Jr., his teammate, $6,100. Kind of like the one lone guy left that can actually score the ball at a decent clip besides Jaden Hardy. So he's going to look very interesting. You're looking for at least 31 out of him. Currently have him projected for like 34. Has some upside for more, has some downside for less, but going to look like a pretty interesting play overall tonight. And then a small forward, we're going with Derrick Jones Jr. So it's just kind of the Mavericks fest, but he's a guy that's going to be out there on the court playing a lot of minutes, a guy that can do a little bit of everything, a guy that probably is going to score the ball just a little bit more tonight just because there's going to be more opportunities just to be had in general. $5,300, looking for at least 27 out of him. Currently I'm projected for 29.30 tonight, so going to be a very interesting play at that. And then we move down to power forward with Kevin Durant, $9,700. Looking for 48, 49 out of him. Currently I'm projected for 51 tonight. It's a pretty good pace-up spot for this Kings team as well. So would not be surprised if Kevin Durant goes out there and even outperforms that projection at the same time. Then last but not least, at the center position, we're going with Drew Eubanks. He's $4,500, looking for at least 23 points out of him. Currently, I have him projected for 28 points. As long as he's in that starting lineup tonight, he's going to look like another locked and loaded play on today's slate overall. Him and Jaden Hardy going to be the two locks for me overall on tonight's slate just in general. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed, you have $20,100 remaining, $6,700 per player. So a good amount of money left over as compared to some of our more recent slates. So definitely have the ability to pay up for someone like a Joel Embiid or a Nikola Jokic if that's something you want to do, and then kind of pay down from there. Or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, that's definitely fine on today's slate. Could be a decent amount of value that doesn't open up throughout the day at the same time as well. Although we do kind of have the Mavericks value sitting right there to start the day. And then we also have Drew Eubanks and Metu, just kind of depending on who starts for that Phoenix Suns team, but both could be pretty interesting plays at that at pretty reasonable price tags. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So we are going to start off at the point guard position with Steph Curry, $8,800. Just a decent price tag for him at this point in time. It's a pace-up spot versus the Wizards. It's going to be a very favorable matchup. Only looking for 44 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for 46. Could have some upside for more as we've seen time and time again throughout his career. Then in shooting guard, we're going Jaden Ivey. He's $4,900, so a little bit more expensive on the FanDuel side. Don't really care, though. Looking for at least 25 out of him. Currently have him projected for 28 tonight, but definitely has a ton of upside for more at the same time. And then same thing goes with Tim Hardaway Jr., small forward, $6,300. Looking for at least 31, 32 out of him. Currently have him projected for 33, 34 on the FanDuel side, but definitely does have a ton of upside for more as one of those few guys left on this Mavericks team that can actually go out there and get his own shot and score the ball at a decent clip. And then we move down to power forward with Kevin Durant once again. He is $10,200 on FanDuel, so $500 more expensive than on DraftKings. Looking for 51 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for 52 on the FanDuel side tonight. You know, it's a really good matchup versus Sacramento Kings, so would not be surprised whatsoever if he does outperform that price tag and that projection once again. And then last but not least, we go to center with Drew Eubanks, $4,100, so even cheaper on the FanDuel side, and you can play him at power forward at the same time. Looking for 21 fantasy points out. I'm currently having projected for 28 on the FanDuel side tonight. Going to look like a really good play overall. Him and Jaden Hardy, once again, are going to be those locked and loaded plays. You're going to have them in almost every lineup tonight, just in general. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do currently have listed here, $25,700 remaining, and just over $6,400 per player. So a decent amount left over. You can probably pay up for one other player if that's something you really want to do. If you want to pay up from Drew Eubanks to another center option, move him to power forward. That's definitely an option for today's slate overall. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, December 22nd. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I do also ask that you please note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then as always, I'll be listing all the injury updates throughout the day as well as the starting lineups throughout the night. And then about 15 to 20 minutes prior to lock, I'll leave my updated core as a pinned comment. If there's any other changes to that core after that point in time, I will leave them as a reply to that pinned comment at that point in time. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have NBA DFS Core Pick videos Monday through Friday. And then I do my NFL DFS player pool video on Saturdays. Typically comes out late morning, early afternoon. Might switch it up just a little bit this week based on working tonight and Saturday night. Might ultimately make that end up being a live stream on Sunday morning, but we'll just have to see. I'll try to make an announcement on that one way or another, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But as always, I will have my NFL DFS cheat sheets up on the sports affiliation website for both the FanDuel and DraftKings main slate. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, you sign up, you make your first deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's up to $100. They'll match 100% of whatever you put in. So if you put in $10, you get $10 in first match deposit bonus. If you put in 50, you get 50. If you put in 100, you get 100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% of your first deposit. So a lot of great opportunities out there if you're interested in getting into sports betting or prop betting just in general. If you have any questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning into this video. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.